Well, hello everyone. What are you laughing about? I literally said nothing.
I'm laughing about, is that your happy face?
That what?
Is that your happy face?
That's my happy What was so funny about my happy face?
I don't know.
Well, the real question is, are we going to keep this? At the beginning?
I think we should keep it.
I feel like we should. Well, on that note, we're going to actually start then. Welcome. Thank you for joining us at the Faith Focus Weekly Discipleship Podcast. I'm Kevin Rogness. This is my friend Davey Neubauer. I'm the Discipleship Director. He's the Director. And
after our first podcast, you let me come back, so thank you.
I did, yeah. Well, you volunteered to come back, so thank you for that. If you can't tell, we know each other pretty well. We were in school together for too long. Not too long because it was too much time with each other, but just too long because it was just too long to be in school.
It was a long time to be in school.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you for joining us. If you are new to the podcast, we would just encourage you to subscribe, whether it's on YouTube or any of the major podcasting platforms, to make sure that you never miss an episode. So thank you for joining us today, whether you're watching or listening. And Merry Christmas, because we're in the Christmas Advent season. So
we are.
That's kind of what we're here talking about. So last week I was just kind of talking about how sometimes at Christmas time we just listen to this music or sing it or whatever and don't actually really sit down and process what these words to these songs mean. So I was like, let's do that, because music is actually an important part of discipleship, because music is just an important part of our lives. And
big part.
Yeah, I mean, whether we're musicians or not, most of us probably have some connection to music, and it's just music is just a great way of helping us express so many different things. So last week I talked about "Oh Holy Night" and why that is the best Christmas song ever. And if you were at the Carol Sing at the meatball dinner this past week, you heard me screaming out, "Oh Holy Night, we're singing it now!" And
whoa, don't scare the people.
We're past that. We passed the point of me scaring people a long time ago. But yeah, I was just like, "Oh Holy Night, we're doing that one first."
So 30-second recap. Why is it the best Christmas song ever?
Beautiful lyrics, beautiful message, and it's set to such a wonderful tune musically. And it's a difficult song to sing depending on what key it's in. But it's just got such epic renditions of it, and I don't know. It's always just resonated for me. So that's why. But if you really want to know, Davey, you should really watch the episode that I did last week. So
I meant to watch. I actually meant to watch it on my drive down, and instead I did my.
You're going to watch it while driving, Davey.
Devotional. I have a podcast app, audio only.
Okay, audio. So
and listen. I subscribe.
Listen.
Yeah.
Not watch. Listen. Yeah. It's fine if you want to listen to something, but
yeah.
Don't watch things while you're driving. Watch the road.
What is it called when you mean to say listen, but you say watch? That's like is that a Freudian slip technically?
No, I think Freudian slip is more like accidental sexual innuendo.
Okay.
I think it's just a mistake. Otherwise,
I thought there was a term. I don't know.
It might be Freudian slip, but I feel like Freud talked about so much of that, like,
oh yeah,
underneath is all this like
yeah.
weird.
Yeah, he did.
We don't need to go there. I do have the same birthday as Freud, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that we're having just a bunch of random banter.
Yes. So if you were wondering, I had the same birthday as Sigmund Freud and George Clooney, and let's not go there. So anyway, Christmas music. It's Christmas time. So I put out kind of an email to the staff to say, would anybody like to join me and talk about their Christmas song or their favorite Christmas song? And so Davey said that he would love to jump on and share his favorite song. So what is it?
So I feel like you'll probably have a little bit of commonality with me, but I feel like we have to do just a little backstory.
Sure.
So right out of college, my first job, or not right out of college, right after high school, my first job was retail, working for Reebok. I worked for them for nearly 14 years. And because of that, became...
Now you wear Brooks shoes, so is that a statement of you're done with Reebok?
Not really. I just bought a pair of Reeboks, but... Yeah. But because of that, especially the classic, and not necessarily church songs, but especially the classic Christmas songs, I'm very Scroogeous
Yeah.
with. I hate them. I've heard them literally 3,000 times.
I was only in retail for about 3 years, and I feel the same way. Like, Here Comes Santa Claus and some of those. And
Yeah.
just like,
Jingle Bells is not a good one. Anyways, so that's where I'm coming from. I very much like, just when I'm not listening to worship music, very much like rock and roll music, loud, fast kind of music. So this is a band that comes from that.
I pegged you for a big Celine Dion fan.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Actually, I really like the Celine Dion song from Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, yeah.
At the end in the credits, and I hate myself for liking that song, but I really like it.
It's classic, though.
It is a really good song. All right, sidetrack again.
That one's my fault.
What I was saying, so that's where I'm coming from. This is a song from a band that was one of my favorite bands growing up, and just the lyrics, I think just it's kind of a play on a class we were kind of listening to it before, another song talking about the perspective of Jesus. Did you know that you would be the one to save us?
Kind
so
of
it's not a
song. Mary, did you know?
Yep.
But this song is to Jesus.
Yep. And so it's kind of a play on that, but it's just a different. I think it stands out to me because lyrically, it's just a different kind of song lyrically, and it's piano driven, and I've always just liked it. I think it's one of the songs every year that I listen to, Christmas-wise, every year. So
yeah, and what is the song?
So the song is, for our audience, probably no one is familiar, but the band is Relient K, and the song is I Celebrate the Day. Mm-hmm. So it's talking about the perspective of baby Jesus. Does he know? I always look at it as in the nativity scene, but does he know from like day one that he's going to save all of humanity? Yeah. Now, if we think about the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit were always in existence before mankind, of course he knows. But then at the same time, for him to be fully God and fully man, the fully man part, you don't really know. You're still learning. You're not being able to like even see very well. Right. I mean, we're talking about like the first moments, or maybe even the first couple months of Jesus' existence in human form.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot to think about. So I'm going to read through the lyrics here, and Davey's just going to stop me here and there where there's something that's really meaningful to him about the song. I'm also going to include a link to the song on YouTube in the episode notes so that you can listen to it for yourself as well. And I encourage that. And yeah, I mean, a lot of you may not have heard of Relient K, but they were kind of like a punk rock Christian band that were kind of big when we were growing up.
Yep,
so
definitely.
Which, that was a long time ago now. Yeah. So, but yeah, so here are the lyrics to the song called I Celebrate the Day by Relient K. And with this Christmas wish is missed, the point I could convey. If only I could find the words to say, to let you know how much you've touched my life. Because here is where you're finding me, in the exact same place as New Year's Eve.
Now, Kevin, we were talking about this before. What do you think? I don't know. Well, so let's read it one more time.
So, but here is where you're finding me, in the exact same place as New Year's Eve. And I read that as, or heard that, whatever, as kind of that moment on New Year's Eve when you're kind of reflecting on, okay, what do I want to change? What do I want to start over in the new year? What good habits do I want to create? And those kinds of things. So kind of just that place of reflection of like, what am I going to do to change to be the person I want to be? What did you think about that?
When I first was re-listening to it in the last couple of days, I thought maybe he is in at church and just reflecting about, I'm in the same place that I always am in every Christmas, every New Year's Eve. And then I'm thinking, I'm not really in church on New Year's Eve. Yeah. New Year's Day every year, but I don't know. But I think it is a reflection and a big theme. I think the previous line is the whole idea about I'm very thankful, but I don't know. I mean, this gift that you've given me is so grandiose.
Mm-hmm.
How am I supposed to say thank you?
Right.
A friend of mine that both him and I in California were interns at a church, just kind of cutting our teeth at the same time. And he's since moved to Idaho, but he shared on, he's been a really great mentor of his, and I don't know a lot of the details, but spiritual mentor of his just passed away yesterday from cancer, from a kind of a long battle of cancer. And he was trying to articulate like how much this person meant to him and his family and his kids, and just very influential. And I just was trying to share something nice and kind other than just basic stuff, and I was thinking to myself, like true, like really influential spiritual mentors, if they are doing a good job, they're gonna give more than you can ever repay them.
Yeah.
I think of a couple mentors in my life, I could never repay them.
Yeah.
The amount that they've taught me and shown me and invested in me. And I think it's not on the same scale, but it's kind of a similar thought here in this song about you giving me such a huge gift of dying for me on the cross. How could I write some words in a journal or write a song that would show you how much I appreciate what you've done for me?
Yeah. Well, even John, the gospel writer, says that at the very end of the book of John. He's like, and even if, like, these are, he basically ends the book with, these are just some of the things we could have written, but if you just kept writing everything he did, you'd run out of paper in the world. Like, there wouldn't be enough room in the world for all the books to be written about that. So.
Yeah, that's true. I forget about that kind of anecdote at the end of his gospel. That's good.
But I'm going to reread that line because then it kind of leads into the next one. Because here is where you're finding me, in the exact same place as New Year's Eve, and from a lack of my persistency, we're less than half as close as I want to be. That line hit me.
Sure.
Did it hit you, or?
Well, knowing this writer as much as I do, and knowing all his songs, that's a theme that he comes up with. Like, he wants to be consistent and persistent and driven for certain goals, and then he finds himself falling back into his old habits. Yeah.
And I've often felt that too, of just like feeling that I've had a lot of spiritual insecurity in my life. I've worked through a lot of it, but there have just been a lot of times where I'm just like, oh, because I'm being tempted, I'm not as close to God as I should be.
Yeah.
You know, if I prayed more, then I wouldn't be struggling with this, or if I was close enough to God, I wouldn't have these problems. And so that was a lie that I bought into for a long time, but that line expresses it really well.
Yeah.
We're less than half as close as I want to be. It also reminds me of a line from Lord of the Rings when Bilbo is saying goodbye to people, but I'm not going to do that right now. So, but yeah, I just, that line really resonated with me. Yeah. So in the chorus goes like this: and the first time that you open your eyes, did you realize that you would be my savior? And the first breath that left your lips, did you know that it would change this world forever? So that's where I was really getting the Mary, did you know vibes. Like, Mary, did you know?
Yep.
Which Mary did know. The angel did tell her, you will bear a savior. So, like, yes, Mary did. That's the answer to that song. Although she may not have known details, to be fair. So, anyway. Then the song continues, and so this Christmas I'll compare the things I felt in prior years to what made this midnight so clear, that you have come to meet me here. That was just kind of an interesting poignant part too, of just kind of, because I mean, that's kind of that New Year's idea of like just kind of reflecting back on things, and kind of just repeating some of those things. And then the song continues to say, to look back and think that this baby would one day save me, and the hope that what you did, that you were born so I might live, to look back and think this baby would one day save me. And we forget about that. Like, Jesus was born a baby. Like, completely useless for a long time. Which sounds terrible to say, but like Jesus was human. Like,
Yeah.
babies can't do anything. They're cute, they're cuddly.
I don't know if I ever shared this with you, but I think it will bring home the point. But we got to travel a little bit. So in college, my undergrad's in creative writing, so I took a lot of poetry classes, and one of the prose poetry, which for those that don't know, prose is basically just paragraph form poetry,
narrative writing,
Yep.
and that sort of thing.
and I don't know where this came from, but I just had in my brain, it'd be really cool if Jesus was saying, I don't know if his ministry was starting yet, but in the picture in my head is Jesus is at least mid-20s, maybe 30, and he's a carpenter, so he decides he's going to pull a prank on one of his really good friends and make a chair that is going to be faulty, right, when the person sits on it, and then just laughs at them. But just that picture of Jesus, his humanity, and like pulling a prank or a joke on somebody, I just really love that idea about some of the earlier, I won't name names, but some of the earlier depiction of Jesus in films was just like the stoic white guy that never had any personality of any kind.
Well, it's like if people gave up everything to just spend time with him and follow him, like
he had to be so charismatic.
Yeah, he couldn't have been boring and serious all the time. Like, he was probably a funny guy to some extent.
Yeah, no, I mean, really.
I think the story where he's like crying in the dirt is hilarious.
Okay.
Like, I mean, it's not, because there's this woman there who's, been caught in the act of adultery, and she's about to possibly be stoned to death. But, like, the Pharisees are, like, about to, like, lay this big whammy of, like, ooh, what are you going to do now? And Jesus is like, I'm going to draw in the dirt. Like, what?
Yeah.
And everybody's just watching him like, who is this guy?
And one of the greatest mysteries, and people try to rack their brain about, what did he write? It's not really the point of the story.
Well, we don't know what he wrote, but I have a theory that when Leonardo da Vinci painted the Mona Lisa, that was Leonardo da Vinci's interpretation of what Jesus was doing in the dirt.
Okay.
You're not impressed. Davey's like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Hey, maybe he had a vision from an angel.
Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, Jesus was human. And so, like, to look back and think that this baby would save me, that kind of sounds insane. Like, this is kind of a preview, but on Christmas Day, I'm getting to talk about the shepherds and how they, as soon as they heard from the angels that a Savior had been born, they rushed to go there. They rushed to go meet a baby, and they were excited about this baby. It's like, they've got a long time before that baby's going to be able to do anything. Like,
yeah,
that's just so interesting to think through. Like, what did Jesus do for all those years? He was just a person living his life, working, buying food, and whatever.
Learning his trade that his dad taught him. Just normal stuff.
So yeah, it's a lot to think about. And then, so the last couple of lines of the song were some of your favorite. And so they say, and I celebrate the day that you were born to die. So I could one day pray for you to save my life. And what do those words make you think? What stood out to you about them?
Gosh, there's so many things. So I'm thinking about growing up in the church, and I don't remember the exact moment or anything, but remembering a conversation at home with my parents after a VBS, and it clicking for me. And it's like, I want to follow Jesus and get baptized. I was probably 9 or 10. And then just the moment of me getting baptized. So that's, that story, whatever your story is, that is your story. You can't change it. And it's the most impactful thing that you could ever do. And then follow through that to where I'm at now, and my calling to reach middle schoolers and help volunteers and leaders just develop into good discipleship makers to disciple the next generation. It's literally all about that. It's about getting kids to the space where they understand how the gospel can really impact their lives and open up their lives. And I think one of the things I've been listening to, interesting, like a very much punk, like a skate punk band. To those that don't know what skate punk is, it's really fast and loud kind of music. But the lead singer has his doctorate in theology and teaches theology to high school students. But
those are two very separate career paths.
And I'm sorry, but I lost my thought. That happens to me sometimes. I'll get back to it if I remember what we were talking about.
Who's this punk rock singer? I can't remember where you're at either. This is what happens when you get older.
Well, I think it's
discipling the younger generation.
I think it's a symptom of my meds sometimes. So he wrote a song about someone falling away from the church, and the point of the song was, now I don't have to follow the like dogma or the fundamentalist movement of Christianity. Now I'm free, and my world has just like opened up, and I can see in color. But in actuality, that's what we're, I think, fighting against in this new generation. But in reality, there's a whole life that people aren't realizing that they can have, and a lot of freedom they can have by following Christ. But they think it's a fundamental. I think when this generation thinks about church and Christianity, they think about a very fundamentalist, like very rigid, legalistic way to live. And that's really not what God's called us to live. The life that He's chosen. If we choose to follow Him, that's not the life that it's very freeing. It's very liberating. It's just misconception. That's what I was wanting to say. It's a misconception of the current generation that we're in. It's that church is all about legalism and rules, and you can't have a fulfilling life, and you can't have. There's all these rules in place, like you're walking in shackles. We can't see the picture that's on Kevin's wall, but there's a guy in shackles. So.
Yeah. Well, any other final thoughts on this song before we get going?
No, I can't think of any. Just a good song.
Yeah. Well, thanks for bringing it to my attention. And
how many more weeks do we have on this exciting series? Do we have one more?
Two more.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to do one. It'll technically be after Christmas, in between Christmas and New Year's, but so yeah.
What are the other songs? Do you know yet?
We'll find out.
Oh, teaser.
Yep. So much more to come. So, but thank you for listening, and thank you for watching. And if you have ideas on anything you'd like to see from this podcast, let me know. My email address is in the description section of the episode. Just let me know what you want us to cover, and we'll hopefully get to it. So,
and for those that may be listening before Christmas, I'm preaching on the 1st.
Yes.
So if you're in town, come to church.
Yes. That'll be January 1st, New Year's Day, Sunday.
And what better
10:30 a.m.
And what better thing to preach from on the first of the year than Lamentations?
The only thing I can think of that would be better would be the skin diseases. That's what I like to start my year off with. Just a reminder of what's contagious.
But in all seriousness, if you're going to be here on the 1st, I would appreciate you coming and hearing. It's going to be the title of it, to give you a tease, is how to find hope in hopelessness.
Nice.
So
now you've gotten teasers for what's to come in this podcast, for my sermon on Christmas Day and your sermon on New Year's Day.
Yeah. So
2 weeks in a row, you can come listen to us again. So everybody's like, well, let's do that.
For everyone that has watched, thank you for watching, and go check out the song.
Yeah. And that's all we have for today. Thanks for listening, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Ho, ho, ho. Merry